What? A hemlock tree? That too a very poisonous tree. And that too a crow is sitting on that tree, which is really very sorrowful and depressive. What's happening with me today? Why are my subscribers not increasing? Why are my viewers so stagnant? What new content should I try? This simple action has just changed my mood. I just wasted my half of my day repenting and being lost in sorrow. I need to utilize my rest of the day in some useful activity. I literally regret this. Okay, I'm gonna try some new concepts and I'm gonna shoot really very interesting, awesome videos. Oh, hi! The video is on. Okay, fine, no worries. I just did not look at that. So today, as you have already seen in that intro, you may have already got to know that today we are going to discuss the poem, not chapter, poem. The Dust of Snow. It's short little poem hai yaar ye. Very interesting. It's going to be really interesting. But before getting into this poem, let me give you a short notice that I just don't want to act like a teacher. I'm just a simple student. I just want to chit chat this very meaningful poem with you all like a friend. So now let's get into our today's video. So now when we talk about the poem, The Dust of Snow, whenever we start a poem or do something, it's really important for us to know about the title. So the title looks very interesting, The Dust of Snow. First of all, what's the meaning of this title? So as you all may have seen snowfall. So after snowfall, the small particles remain on the surfaces. Those small particles which remain on the surfaces after snowfall is called as the dust of snow. That's it. Simple सा title है. Title का meaning भी बहुत simple है. Very simple. So suppose it remains on the trees, on the plants, on the herbs, on the shrubs, on the roof of our house also after a snowfall. So that is what called as the dust of snow. Very simple. It's small particles of snow that remain on the surfaces after snowfall. पक्का डन. तो हमने क्या किया, टाइटल को बहुत अच्छी तरह से डिस्कस कर लिया. सो लेट्स मेक अ क्राइटेरिया चार्ट हियर, लाइक वॉट एवर वी हैव डिस्कस, लेट्स पुट अ टिक मार्क हियर सो दैट वी हैव डिस्कस दिस डस्ट ऑफ स्नो का टाइटल का मीनिंग. नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट दी author. Poet, sorry, not author. The famous poet of this poem is Robert Frost. Do you remember him? I remember him. Robert Frost. So he is favorite poet. In our 9th class also we had a poem which was written by Robert Frost, and that poem was A Road Not Taken and was really very meaningful. I really loved that poem. That was a poem between choices. See, you have only one chance to choose a choice between two choices. तो एक ही चांस में दोनों choices में सिर्फ एक चांस चूज करना उतना मुश्किल चीज नहीं है. मुश्किल है पर फिर भी एक ऐसी चॉइस चूज करनी चाहिए जिसमें आपको फ्यूचर में कोई मुश्किल फेस करने के लिए नहीं मिले. So there should be no problems faced by you if you have choose that problem. So just keep that in mind and then choose a choice. So that's what I learned from it, and I'll just remember this, that yes, whenever I need to choose a choice between two options, I'll choose the right one which will make me feel comfortable now and always. Good. So now let's not talk about that poem. Let's talk about this poem. I just gave a hint for you because you may be thinking, Robert Frost, I heard this poet's name sometime. Let's talk about so Robert Frost. Just remember this, that he is an American poet. So Robert Frost is an American poet. You just remember that, and whenever they ask us to write the summary of the poem, we can just start like, A Dust of Snow is a beautiful short poem written by the famous poet Robert Frost, who is an American poet who was born on, who unfortunately left the world on. अगर आप चाहे so you can include the birth date and death date also. If not, it's fine. तो हमने अब क्राइटेरिया चार्ट में इसको इंक्लूड करते हैं कि ऑथर के बारे में जो पढ़ना है हमने पढ़ लिया. Now let's get into the poem. तो poem line by line, let's understand the meaning because it's really important to understand line by line meaning. तो टाइटल के बारे में डिस्कस कर लिया, रॉबर्ट फ्रॉस्ट पोएट के बारे में भी डिस्कस कर लिया, और एक और चीज बाकी है. वो एक और चीज ये है कि हमने इस पोएम का मीनिंग नहीं निकाला. So what does this poem say? I'll just say you guys this. The poem says that even a simple action, a simple movement has a larger significance. So here the poet goes through a simple action, simple movement भी लिख सकते हो, simple action भी लिख सकते हो. So this is what the actual meaning. A simple movement or a simple action also has a larger significance. This is what the actual meaning of this is. So just remember this. So whenever you write, so मैंने कुछ lines बताई है. The Dust of Snow is a short poem written by the famous poet Robert Frost, who is an American poet. And this poem says us that even a simple movement has a larger significance. You just remember that so that it will be clear for you. Fine. So हमने इसकी moral के भी discuss कर ली, यानी कि the we can say the intention also. So let's write it as moral only. Actually stories में हम लोग moral लास्ट में डिस्कस करते हैं, बट पोएम्स में ना मैंने मॉरल अभी बताया है, so that it will be easier for us to learn the poem. It's very easier to talk about the poem, but no worries guys, it's really simple. The poet is just a piece of cake. I'm again using that, like it's very simple to make like a 2 minutes Maggie. So it's really very simple. 2 minutes Maggie अगर तुम्हें हार्ड लगता है तो तुम piece of cake मान लो, ठीक है? So very good. So now let's get into our poem. Let's read the poem line by line and understand its meaning. Yeah, so our poem is on the whiteboard. So violate when the poem is here. So just don't waste our time and get into the actual meaning of the poem. So the poem says, the way a crowd shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. Full stop. Yes. So this is the actual poem. So now let's talk about line to line. The way a crowd. So first of all, let me say here in the first stanza, actually this is the stanza number 1 and this is the stanza number 2. So just don't get confused. In the first stanza, if you observe, the way a crowd shook down on me. Here there's he mentioned crowd. Shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. He has mentioned a hemlock tree. Now you may get confused about what is a hemlock tree. Hemlock tree, as we have discussed in the intro also, I said you guys that a hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. So it's a poisonous tree. It has wrote poison. And crow. So mostly poets use crow. Why do they use crow in their poems? Because crow represents a very depressive and sorrowful mood. So yeah. So crow represents a very depressive and sorrowful mood. So many people use crows if they have to present their bad situation, sad situation, because crow is considered like that. Crow is considered to be somewhat unlucky. And next here, the dust shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. This is a poisonous tree. Okay, so that is why this crow and a hemlock tree shows us the mood of the poet. That crow is a depressive and sorrowful sign, and hemlock tree is also a poisonous tree. So these two together show us the mood of the poet, that the poet's mood is not so good. So these two say us that the poet's mood is not at all in a good way. He is really very sad. He was not in a good way. So that is why he used crow and a hemlock tree to show his present mood. That is why he has used a bitter side of the nature to present his similar mood. अच्छा था ना? मुझे भी अच्छा लगा. चलो, the way a crowd shook down. Okay, now let's get into our story. क्या बताया जा रहा है उसके बारे में बताते हैं. So now once a person, not a person but a poet, Robert Frost, was in a very depressive and sorrowful mood, because पहले तो उन्होंने crowd को represent किया, इसलिए crowd के बारे में ही represent करेंगे. So the once a poet was in a very depressive and sorrowful mood. So when he was in a depressive and sorrowful mood, he came and stood below a hemlock tree, which is a poisonous tree. So when he stood below a hemlock tree, he was like, what? First of all, his mood was not so good, and again he came and stood below poisonous tree. Now when he stood below the poisonous tree, was in a very bad mood. Suddenly a crow may be sitting on the tree, or may had flew away, or may had come from somewhere to the tree, due to which the dust of snow, as we have discussed already the title, the dust of snow, these are the tiny particles of snow that remains on the surface after the snowfall. So the dust of snow तो it shook the dust of snow onto the poet and he just got relaxed. ठीक है, ये है हमारी पोयम का पूरा स्टोरी, इनसाइड स्टोरी. सो नाउ लेट्स सी. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. The way a crow यानी कि crow ने shook down on me यानी कि मुझ पे ये जो डस्ट ऑफ स्नो है, द डस्ट ऑफ स्नो शूक डाउन में, द डस्ट ऑफ स्नो, इस डस्ट ऑफ स्नो को मेरे ऊपर गिराया. जस्ट शूक डाउन द डस्ट ऑफ स्नो ऑन मी फ्रॉम अ हेमलॉक ट्री. बट वेयर वाज द डस्ट ऑफ स्नो मैम, ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट है ना. द डस्ट ऑफ स्नो वाज ऑन अ हेमलॉक ट्री. सो द वे अ क्राउड शूक डाउन ऑन मी द डस्ट ऑफ स्नो फ्रॉम अ हेमलॉक ट्री. दिस इज क्लियर, दिस स्टैंजा इज क्लियर, पक्का क्लियर होनी चाहिए. नाउ has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So rude का मीनिंग मैं बता देती हूँ, पर पहले इसको समझते हैं. तो पहले तो इधर क्राउ और हेमलॉक ट्री इसीलिए यूज किया ताकि वो पोएम का जो लेंथ है वो शॉर्ट कर दे. सो दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई ही हैज यूज्ड क्राउ एंड हेमलॉक ट्री टू रिप्रेजेंट हिज मूड दैट ही वाज नॉट इन अ गुड मूड. उसके बाद सो हैज गिवन माय हार्ट अ चेंज ऑफ मूड, तो इसीलिए फिर से इधर मूड के बारे में बातचीत करता है. हैज गिवन माय हार्ट अ चेंज ऑफ मूड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस crow which shook down the dust of snow on me from a hemlock tree. This gave me a very good change of mood. This gave my heart a very good change of mood, and it also saved some part of my day, and it saved some of my part of the day which I had rued. Rued is nothing but held in regret. The part of the day which I have held in regret. So at last, after this simple action, as I said, this simple action just changed his mood. This simple action has made a large significance on him. It brought a large significance on him. That this led to a change of mood in him. So that is what being said here. Fine. This has changed his mood a lot and a lot. That he just felt that I had almost ruined my half of my day, staying in repenting and being lost in sorrow. Now at least I should utilize my half of my day in some useful activity. So he just realized that. So what you get to understand by this story, poem, we get to understand that even a simple situation has a larger significance, and that is what the dust of snow poem means. ठीक है, चलो क्विकली समराइज कर लेते हैं. The way a crow shook down on me. So now let's quickly summarize the entire poem. पूरा एंटायर पोएम की समरी देखते हैं. सो हाँ, लाइन टू लाइन एक्सप्लेनेशन हो गया, लाइन टू लाइन एक्सप्लेनेशन हो गया है ना, हो गया. मॉरल हो गया, लाइन टू लाइन हो गया. अब हम आते हैं हमारी समरी के ऊपर. तो समरी अगर हम बात करें कि क्या है इसकी समरी, तो मैं जो पॉइंट्स बोलती हूँ ना उसको लिखते जाओ, बिकॉज दिस इज व्हाट इफ यू वुड राइट दिस इन योर एग्जाम्स, I guarantee that you're gonna get full out of full marks if they have asked you write down the summary of the dust of snow. Perfect. तो चलो मैं summary शुरू करती हूँ. The Dust of Snow is a short poem written by the famous poet Robert Frost, who is an American poet. This poem says us that even a simple moment or simple action has a large significance. Note it down या फिर pause करके लिख लो यार, बहुत ही important है ये. Here the poet presents a crow and a hemlock tree in his poem to present his similar mood. So the crow represents depressive and sorrowful mood. Depressive and sorrowful. Crow is a very depressive and sorrowful. Crow is very depressive and sorrowful. Hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. Both this crow and a hemlock tree present his mood. So by this we can say that this mood was not good. So he was not in a good mood. Next. Both this represent that he was not in a very good mood. Now let's talk about the next stanza. Now, once a poet was in a very bad mood and sat down or was standing below a hemlock tree. Suddenly a crow shook the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, which changed the mood of a poem. So the poet realized that he had just wasted his half of the day by just repenting and getting lost in sorrow. Instead of that, he realized that he should utilize his rest of the day in some useful activity. बहुत ही अच्छी meaning है इसका. This was really very informative. I felt really happy sharing this poem with you all. I hope you have written that. So the actual moral भी हो गया, summary भी हमने कर ली. Fine. Now let's end up this poem with now, because it's almost a very long video. So I hope you all enjoyed my today's video. Like you all enjoyed this poem. आपने कुछ इस poem से कुछ सीखने को मिला. So now I'll meet you all with another new video very soon. Till the time, goodbye, take care and keep following me on YouTube. Bye bye.